Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time. And that whenever and wherever you happen to be under this full mooned sky, that you are giving yourself a break from your ideas or ideals of perfection for your life. Now, we are all in a spiritual way. If you're listening to the show, chances are you're on a spiritual path of one kind or another. And there's a lot of people out there that are trying to spiritually perfect themselves, and that's different than trying to be perfect. All right. So if you're one of these people that are trying to get everything in your life perfect, trying to get yourself perfect before you can make any big or major decisions, you need to relax. Not a little, honey, but a lot. You need to relax a lot and realize that you're okay the way you are. You need to accept yourself the way you are. Trying to be perfect is just not going to really get you anywhere in life. It's not going to help you. It's not going to make you feel comfortable or stress-free. You know, a lot of people feel like they're going to be 100% fine once they have the perfect job. Then they can look for love. Or once they have their education completely perfect and in order, you know, then they can look for the job. And then once they have the job, they can look for love. And then once they have love and everything in their life is perfect, then they can have the kids, right? Everyone has that perfect ideal in their mind. Whether or not you yourself are a perfectionist, there might be an area in your life in which you're thinking, well, as soon as this is perfect. For me, it was, I set out when I was 18 years old, set out on my own, and I wanted to be perfect before I came back into the family fold. I wanted to go out there, go out into the world, and live my life in a way in which I got everything I wanted. Not to honor my parents and go, look what they've done, they've helped me so much. But rather to say, look what I've done in spite of how they treated me growing up, and in spite of all the bad things that happened, and in spite of all this and all that, I was able to get my perfect life anyway, right? And yeah, I was petty and mean and spiteful. Okay, I was 18, but you know, but in the same time, you know, I would say, well, my mom helped me, right? And my dad helped me until I was 18, and then I was on my own. He said, "You're on your own, kid." You know, but he was kicked out when he was 18 too. I mean, that was just a thing. If you're not American and you didn't know this, Americans, we pretty much we get kicked out of the house the day we turn 18. You're done. Bye. It was nice knowing you, kid. You're now an adult. See you later. You know, doesn't happen to every person, doesn't happen in every family, but it's more common than not in my country. It's one of those things like, You're an adult. You figure it out. It's one of those fly, be free, mother bird, papa bird, kicking the baby bird out of the nest kind of thing. I did not do this to my oldest, and I'm not going to do this to my youngest. I don't believe in that. Because sometimes you need a little bit extra time to figure stuff out. And, this year, 2020, not the best year to become an adult and be out on your own. My kid turns 18 in 2 months, 2.5 months. So it's scary. It's like he can't go get a job because, we live in a foreign country where they don't hire Americans because we're already rich, apparently. Everyone assumes. So, we'll give it to someone who really needs a job. You don't need a job. It's like, yeah, I freaking do. Why would I be here if I didn't really need a job, right? I mean, if I was independently wealthy, why would I want to look for a job? It makes no sense. But, it's just, I seriously, like the quarantine, this is like the class of quarantine. The class of 2020 is a class of quarantine. It's unbelievable. But so it's not really the best, year to be like, fly, be free. No, it's almost impossible to get a job in this climate. You have to get a job online. That's what a lot of people are doing. So a lot more competition online than there was before. But I know when I was 18, I had an idea for my life. I just had to have a boyfriend, and I had to have my education, and I had to have my own apartment, and I had to have a job. And once I get everything together and I'm no longer struggling, then I can go back and talk to my aunts, my uncles, and my cousins and be a shining example from which the whole family can be proud. And even after I achieved those things, there were even more things. Well, my life was perfect, but now it's not perfect because I don't have this and I don't have that. And I put off most of the family interactions, most of my life, because I haven't felt good enough, because I was always wanting to be perfect, because I never felt adequate enough to begin with. And I started realizing it this week that I wasn't really as harsh on myself as I was taking a cue from my childhood. Being an adopted kid, I was kind of like the first grandkid, but at the same time, not the first real grandkid. Like somehow I'm not real. It was kind of I don't know. It's not like anyone ever said that to me, but it's an energy that I felt my whole life. Like, I'm not good enough because I wasn't wanted by my own mother. She gave me away to strangers. And I wasn't good enough because I wasn't real. I wasn't genetically theirs. So I was kind of always the odd man out. And I never felt good enough. And therefore, what do? If I don't feel good enough, I'm going to go make myself feel better than, better than those people who might be judging me, whether they were or not. I don't know. It's my own mind that imagined that about what was going on. A, and B, it was kind of a matter of just not feeling, I don't know, paid attention to enough, loved enough, adequate enough, but no one could ever live up to an impossible standard, right? And perfectionism is an impossible standard. So even though my other cousins came along, my cousin Dwight came along, he's, like a year younger than me. And, he's every bit as loved and special as the rest of us, right? And then, my other cousins came along and I loved all of them very much. But then as we became adults, everybody kind of went into their own corners, like all my aunts and uncles stopped hanging out with each other and they started hanging out only with their own families. And suddenly I was literally the odd man out. Odd woman out, I suppose. And it wasn't until this past week, honestly, that my when I found out my uncle had died, and he named me in his will, and I finally read the will today, and it was incredible because out of all of the cousins, only my brother and I were the only ones named, which was crazy, right? You know, why would he leave us money and no one else? And I don't know how much money it is. It's going to take like a year or something, you know, maybe 6 months before we can find out. And I mean, it might just be enough for me to maybe buy a used car, or I don't even know what, you know, maybe buy a tiny, I don't even know what. Maybe it'll pay for my life for 2 months. I don't know. But, you know, and when I'm obviously not the only one named, you know, all of his brothers and sisters are named. And because my dad had died, and he was my brother's godfather. And so I think that's why, you know, like my own dad didn't leave me anything. He had died of a very long, slow, horrible thing. Not cancer. He had a parasite that had attached itself to his heart as a result of them not decontaminating the water in his city. Like one of the weirdest, most bizarre ways a person can die. And there was like 10 people in the city. A bunch of them died. There's this massive class action lawsuit that's been going on for years about my father's thing. And he had been in the hospital for like 2 years, and he was dying. And over the course of that whole time, so all the money, anything he had, all of his assets had been liquidated just to pay for his hospital. So, you know, I didn't have any inheritance, like at all, period. So it was just one of those things, and I kind of felt like I always felt bad that I wasn't more active in the family, that I wasn't more active with just going to events or trying to you know, be a part of the family things. But I was never invited, right? And then I felt like if I invite myself, then I'm kind of imposing. I'm not really wanted, maybe. I wasn't even really their relative. I was like the adopted kid. I was the weird odd man out. Like there was all these weird things. Like no matter how perfect I could make my life so that I would feel that I'm accepted, I'm never going to be their kin fully. I'm never going to be like 100% a part of the family, because I'm always the one that the baby they purchased. Like my dad, when I was 18, he told me that he paid $10,000 to have me, which really freaks me out. It's like I was a bought baby, like, excuse me. And then I found out later what he meant by that was that he paid for my mother's hospital and her, you know, vitamins and her checkups and et cetera, you know, her medical bills, right? But the way he made it sound was like, I bought you for $10,000. And it's like, wow, that's illegal. And a really strange way of looking at it, you know, and not the most flattering possible way to look at it, right? So I don't know. There's always been that like weird perfection thing in me, and I don't know what your situation is. Maybe you have something similar. Maybe you're not adopted, but you still didn't feel like 100%, you know, with your family. And the only way that you can be perfect in your imperfection is just to be yourself, right? And it's something that I've learned over the years. And, you know, when I left the United States, I only really went to see one of my relatives, and that was my Uncle Mike. That was the one who left me, at least named me in his will. I don't know what he's left to me, to be honest. I'm hoping I get some pictures, you know, some family pictures and stuff. But he was like the only person I went to see. Like my aunt said you could stay in my condo, but she was in a different state. And, you know, my uncle brought me over to her condo, and I sat there with my kids and my boyfriend at the time. We stayed in her condo for like 2 weeks. But first, before we did that, we went and spent the night at my uncle's house, which was pretty cool. I hadn't seen him in like forever. And he was one of the most quiet, introverted people I've ever met. It was like pulling teeth to have 2 or 3 sentences come out of his mouth. It was like really kind of a chore to get him to talk. But I always got him to talk a little bit more than other people. And I loved him dearly. I really did. And it was awesome that I got to see him before I left California. You know, I was living in California and I had gone over to Las Vegas and hung out with him. And then I hung out with my cousin and her husband. And then my kids and I and my boyfriend at the time decided to spend those 2 weeks in Vegas during the quote-unquote end of the world. We knew the world was ending because that was December 20th, or December 21st. Was that it? Yeah, in the Mayan calendar, the old version of the Mayan calendar, right? So we figured, well, that's it. We're probably all going to die. Remember that night, my kids fell asleep. I fell asleep and my kids stayed up. They're like, we're going to watch the end of the world. We're going to go, check on the news every few minutes and watch cartoons and enjoy it if this is really our last night on Earth. I'm like, all right, love you guys, and hugged them both, kissed them both, and that's it. I went to sleep. My boyfriend and I were just like, let's just sleep. I'll see you in the morning, or I won't. We'll be awake or we won't. We'll live through it or we don't. I don't know. It was just like, I don't know. But, I don't know. It was just one of those things. And I feel like now looking back, I kind of wish I would have had more time with my family, but I felt embarrassed about my inadequacies. Like everyone made a big deal when my uncle John actually got a university degree. He was the first person in the family to get a university degree. So everyone made a huge deal. They spent thousands and thousands of dollars on this like 8-course meal or something. It was like a big celebration that I was not invited to. My dad came out, and like all the way from Minnesota to California, and I lived in California, and no one bothered to tell me. I was not invited. I was not a part of that. And I found out years later, and when they were talking about it at some other family event, I think my aunt's funeral, that I was invited to. And so it was like I wasn't always invited to everything, which was odd for me, And then when I had my graduation, nobody came. I invited everybody and nobody came in my family. My aunt said she couldn't close down her business for 1 hour to come even have to see me graduate. It was ridiculous. It was like, you're the owner of the business. It's not like you have a job that you're going to get fired from. You are the owner. You've got the money. You've got the power to say, hey, I want to spend an hour with she's my godmother, and refused to see me, right? So it's just like, I've never felt adequate in the family, and because of these weird things that happened, and everyone has their family issues, so I'm not going to air more of my family laundry stuff, but but the point is, I always felt inadequate, and I always felt imperfect. And I always felt like, well, what can I do? Maybe I need to lose weight. Maybe I need to fix my wrinkles. Maybe I need to make more money. Maybe I need to own my own house. Maybe, I need to be married. Maybe I need to have kids. Once I got married and I had kids, I still didn't have enough money. And, and it just went on and on and on and on. Like, what are all the things I'm not perfect in? What are the areas I'm not perfect in? Maybe that's what I need to fix. Maybe they'll love me more. Maybe they'll invite me to things. Maybe they'll include me in the family more, and, it just drove me crazy, and I finally just gave up. I freaking gave up. I had to leave the country. I couldn't make ends meet on my meager salary. And if I had gone to work, I would have lost all the salary I had, because that's how it works with the death benefits that I was receiving. I have 2 more paychecks and then I'm done. Now, it's at the end of the wire, and it's like, holy crap, what am I going to do? I'm not fully I'm not fully prepared, but I've been doing this show for almost 2 years, trying to make ends meet with the show, and it's not working. I'm not going to stop doing the show if I can help it. If I'm homeless, I'll stop doing the show. Because, I mean, what else can I do, right? You can't do this if I'm homeless. But, so I'm kind of so I'm like working my way through all of these things. And as I'm working my way through my life, and it just dawned on me that I'm going to be 52 years old this year, and my life still isn't perfect, and I'm still not fully accepted, but I've come completely at peace with this. Since 2012, actually, is when I finally made peace with it all. It's like, you know what? They've all gone their separate ways. They don't all want to include me. Every now and again, I hear from an aunt. One of my aunts will write every now and again, say something. I had a cousin who didn't say hide in her hair, nothing. I'd never heard from her. And then one time out of nowhere, she lambasted me publicly on Facebook, which was insane. You know, completely out of nowhere, completely took something I said fully out of context, and said I was a terrible person, encouraged the whole family to delete me and stop talking to me and block me. And it was like, wow, she was mirroring my view of my own personal imperfections of myself. You know, now I look back on it. I mean, at the time I was like, all kinds of upset, right? Now I just look at it and it's like, yeah, she was just mirroring my own, how inadequate I felt about myself, like I wasn't perfect enough. But it's bullshit. That's such a story that we tell ourselves, and it's such a lie, you know, like that whole perfection idea. So you are perfect in the way that God loves you, God created you, and if you're on the planet in this moment, you are every bit as worthy as anyone else on the planet for anything. God said so. Don't second guess God. Period. That's it. But the other thing of it is that if someone doesn't find you adequate, then that's on them. It's not on you. It's has literally nothing to do with you. Everyone else's opinion of you has nothing to do with you. It's their own bullshit. You know, and if they don't love you and they don't want you around and they don't want to completely find you irresistibly worthy and wonderful and every bit as great as you truly are, then that's their own loss. It's not yours, you know? And you don't have to be perfect for people to love you. And you don't have to be perfect for you to be included. And you don't have to be perfect for, you know, the romance to happen. And you don't need to be perfect for the kids to happen, the money to happen, the university to happen. Like, all those things are going to happen in time, right? No matter what it is that you want to do for your life. No matter what plans you have for yourself. No matter what you... where you want to go, where you're headed, whether you're a person who allows life to carry you along and you just kind of floating down the stream on a raft, looking around like, ooh, cool tree. Haha, look at that fish. That's nice. Oh, I like that. Sun looks cool today. Wow. You know, or maybe you're the kind of person that, you know, you build the dam and you stop the water, and you build and you force your life to happen. You know, maybe you're one of those kinds of people, and either kind of person doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because you are just as adequate whether you're one kind of person or another. Maybe you're in the middle. Maybe you're the one that built the boat. You're on the river, you're flowing downstream, everything's cool, but you're the one that built the boat. Maybe you built a raft. Maybe, you know, you still did it, but it's not as big as what, you know, other people have. But so what? You're happy, you know. It doesn't matter. Okay, we're getting away from the metaphor now. I hope you get my point there, that it doesn't matter as long as you're, you know, going. We're all going downstream. We're all floating along life one way or another. Some of us in a speedboat, and some of us on a raft, and some of us doing the backstroke, and some of us are stuck at the bottom of the river. You know, some of us are like hauled up on the shore, unable to go anywhere. That's how I feel most of my life. I've been feeling like that. Like, I'm just not really, I haven't really gotten much off the shore. It's kind of how I feel in a lot of ways. But maybe I have, and I just am not acknowledging that about myself, because I'm always worried about that perfection thing. And I'm not as bad as I used to be, and I know you're probably not as bad as you used to be. We've all suddenly had this brilliant way of looking at our lives and each other and accepting the imperfect parts of ourselves, you know. You are perfectly imperfect or imperfectly perfect, however you want to look at that. It's okay, the way you are, who you are. You don't have to be perfect, you know, like to be loved, to have money, to finish your education. You know, I've always put impossible standards on myself, and therefore I'm never happy. And also I get to complain a lot. That's super fun. I like to complain sometimes. So, you know, hey, so I've gotten to do that. That's something, you know. But now that I can look back at everything, I realize that all the people that didn't accept me probably didn't accept themselves. And if they didn't give me a second thought, I probably shouldn't have spent any of my time giving them second and third and fourth and eighth thoughts, because they didn't consider me. Why should I have considered them? I kind of wasted my time worried about what other people think. I've wasted my time trying to be perfect when clearly no one could ever be fully perfect. You know, you just can't. So I hope that this message helps you see that everybody has crap going on and nobody is perfect, you know, and you don't have to be. You just have to accept yourself where you are and accept that you're going in the direction of getting better. You're improving your life one way or another, you know. Like I know right now I'm just like I feel like I'm on a raft headed for some freaking rocks, but I'm still going though. I'm like, you know, I'm doing really well with my classes, and I'm getting through my certification, and I'm hoping to get a job within a month. I mean, I'm working my ass off for this class, but at the end it's going to pay off, you know. I'll have enough of a salary to replace the salary that I am going to lose in 60 days, and I'll be okay. I will be okay. I know it. I will it. You know, and you can will it too, whatever it is in your life, you know. Do you know, my friend Tom, he told me, even my friend Dale, God bless Dale, God rest his soul, Dale used to say to me, and they were like best friends, so they both said the same thing to me, but they said, you know, you can never say the wrong thing to the right person, and you can never say the right thing to the wrong person. So if you've been worried about being perfect because you want to be accepted by others, even people in your family, they might not be your real, true spiritual family. Your real, true spiritual family are always going to accept you no matter what. With, you know, warts and all, as my stepmother used to say. You know, you don't need to be perfect in order for people to love you if they're the right people. And that includes everything, not just friendships and family or your friends who become your family, but it's also in jobs too, like in your career. Like, you're never going to be hired by a company who's not the right company for you, you know. But if you are right for the right company, and everything's going to fall in alignment. But you need to let go of all the ideas of trying to be perfect and gain everything just so. There's no way to live. It makes you uptight, makes you filled with anxiety, it makes you filled with anger towards yourself and upsetness. You know, just feeling all kinds of upsetness. And you just have to realize that you are worthy in your imperfection. And that maybe not having a perfect life is fine. You know, I've known people who were like so messy and not able to have people over to their house because their house is always messy. And 20, 30 years later, they've never had a single person over because their house wasn't perfect. I mean, that wasn't me. I'm not saying a metaphor about somebody else, but I have met people like that. And even when my house was messy, it's like people would want to come over. It's like, well, give me a couple hours. I got to clean up. It's still going to be messy, but hey, I got kids, whatever, And it was always like that. Now I don't care. It's like if someone wants to come over, all right, fine. Not now, but before pandemic, yeah. Like my friends, Jordan and Patty, like we've gone over to their house. Their house wasn't clean, totally perfect. But we didn't care. We weren't there to see the house. We were there to see them. And they were relaxed about it. I love that. I know a few people that are super relaxed about it. And I know other people that are just like so rigid in their ideas of perfection that they're so scared. My cousin was like that for years. I don't know how she is now, but for years it was like that. Just can't have people over. House is too messy. I can't clean it. It's never going to be perfect. I don't have the money to hire one. Just, I have had people in my life like that. I've known people like that. And I just feel sad. I just ache for people that go through this rigid ideas of perfection. I have a friend who was like this for years, just so rigid in every single thing. Like she couldn't even chew a piece of gum because that wasn't a perfect diet. She couldn't even have one soda. She always had to have the exact perfect drink. She couldn't have too many carbs. Everything had to be absolutely measured and perfect. And she was absolutely she was beautiful. She had a perfect body. She was amazing, and she never felt perfect. And she always felt like she wasn't good enough. Oh yeah, I'm thin enough, but I'm too tired today, so that means I'm not perfect. And I mean, just no matter what it was always something. And I mean, I feel like it must have been exhausting to be her, and I just always prayed for her and loved her so much. Like, she was one of the coolest persons ever, but her world had to be perfect, and she couldn't handle anything scary. She couldn't handle spirits that were disembodied or ghosts or chemtrails. Even any government conspiracy theory freaked her out. Everything totally freaked her out because her life had to be fully controlled and fully perfect in order for her to live day to day in a normal way for her. Normal for her, not normal in general, maybe. I don't know. Normal for everyone is different. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I think that we should embrace our own imperfections and not try to put things off until things are perfect, because you know what? People will die, they'll move away, life will change in unexpected ways, and while we're waiting for perfection, life passes us by if we only focus on that. So take it from me. I mean, there's a lot of things I wish I could go back and change, but I'm 52 years old. A lot of things, a lot of water under the bridge. A lot of people in my family have died. A lot of my friends have died. There are people that I put off meeting with or dating or anything until I could get my life on track. And like a couple of the guys I was interested in, they've died. Actually like 3 or 4 men that I had interest in. So while I'm trying to wait till I just lose enough weight, wait till I have my hair just done so, wait till I'm have enough money and I could feel adequate. Literally some people died waiting for me. Don't let this happen to you. Just go for it. Life is messy sometimes and doesn't have to be perfect. But you're going to regret it if you put yourself on the perfection train, waiting for your destination to, come up when everything is perfect. Just don't do that. Don't do it to yourself. It's just not worth it, honestly. All right, you guys, I'm going to get into it though. And speaking of weird, perfect or not perfect things, my my friend who we had a conversation like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was about 2 years ago. He wanted to maybe date me. He's a really nice guy. I have absolutely nothing in common with him, like at all. I'm not even attracted to him one iota, not even a teeny tiny little bit. But he's a really sweet person. So, all right, we became friends. All right, whatever. And I told him, I don't think you're my type. I don't think we have anything in common. But I think you're a very sweet person. And I'd love to be your friend. Why not? Friendships are always nice. And so he contacts me today. And he says, how are you doing? And I'm like, fine. And he's like, well, I would really love to go out with you. I'm like, sure, maybe after the pandemic, that'd be great. He's like, no, I'm thinking tomorrow. Let's go grab an ice cream. And this is like 10 minutes after he says, hey, apparently I have a problem with my kidney and I need an operation. And I'm thinking, and you're going to eat ice cream? I think that might be counterintuitive, right? I don't know. It just seems to me like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe eating ice cream is not going to affect someone's kidney, but I kind of feel like it's not healthy. And I'm like, well, we are kind of in the middle of a global pandemic right now, as you are aware. He drives ambulance for a living, so clearly he's aware. How many people has he driven in the past week with coronavirus, right? And I'm like, I don't leave the house. I leave the house 1 day per month to pay my rent. I'm afraid of the coronavirus, of getting it. I have an immune system issue. I've got asthma. There's no way in hell I'm going to leave the house. So then he literally invites himself over to my house. He's like, well, maybe I could just come over to your house and eat something with you at your house. And I'm like, I don't have people over. There's a global pandemic going on right now. Like, I literally don't leave the house. I don't date anybody. I don't, I'm just doing my own thing. I'm trying to finish my education so that I can, so I could get a job, because I might be homeless in 2 months. Trying to start up a relationship with somebody at this time of my life isn't exactly a priority. And I wasn't that mean, but I was just like, what the hell? Like, dude, you're driving an ambulance for a living and you want to come to my house during a global pandemic? Like, I don't even let the wolf dogs in anymore because they might have the virus on their fur. I'm just like, and I literally just spent the past 10 days taking prednisone because I've been sick. I finally got over that. And I'm feeling really under the weather and weird lately, even still. And it just kind of freaked me out. I don't know. Have you guys been asked out on dates? Or had people act like they're going to come on over to your house? It's like, I've never met this person in person. I've only talked to him online for a couple years, which is excessive amount of time, I know, but I still don't feel comfortable. I haven't met him in person. I haven't met him downtown to go have a cup of coffee or something. And I feel really weird about having a conversation with somebody without a mask on. And I feel really weird about, the whole thing feels weird to me. I don't know. It's are we all getting used to just being hermits now? That's a weird thought, right? It was such a strange occurrence to be asked out on a date in the middle of a global pandemic by somebody who is a part of it, a frontliner, who's literally a part of that. Where, out of all the people in society, who's going to come closer to coronavirus than a nurse, a doctor, or an ambulance driver? Dude, you're asking me to put myself at risk so that we can eat ice cream and you could kind of schmooze me? And I know that what he has in the back of his mind is that he's got these 4 girls. He's got 4 kids under the age of 12. 4. He's raising them alone. Their mother had no interest in raising them, according to him, which might be completely false. I don't know. I don't know her side of the story, but she doesn't see them very often. And it's like, I could kind of see the writing on the wall. Like, you want me to raise your 4 daughters for you if something happens to you. This is like what I think might be in the back of his mind, which, A, I'm sorry, I'm just like really not interested. I just and B, I might not even have a place to live myself in 2 months. Like, kind of ridiculous. It's like the most ridiculous situation ever. Like, we've already had the conversation 2 years ago that you're not my type. I don't want to be a mom to 4 new kids when I'm trying to get my crap together. Again, there's that perfection thing, like trying to perfect my life in a way that that I actually have a place to live. But I don't know, it just like sat weird with me that he asked me out. Like, it was sweet to be asked out, just in general, like, oh, it's so nice of you think of me, that's cool. But then at the same time, like, you're a frontliner, you know what the hell's going on. And yet, you're completely ignoring the fact that the second wave has come. Everyone's back into that full-on lockdown. I don't know. Have you guys been asked out? Has anyone asked you to do anything, even if it's just a friend? And did you feel funny about it? Did you feel weird about leaving the house? Let's go do something frivolous, like eat an ice cream in public. Like, oh my God, so many things wrong with this situation. Yeah, I can't wait to go downtown and expose myself to this coronavirus. Like, it's crazy, right? I don't know. Something about this just gave me the weirdest feeling today. Like, I don't know. And he's like, have you been going out with anyone else? I'm like, why would I have gone out with anyone else? We're in the middle for 5 months. We've been in lockdown. In Ecuador, anyway. I don't know. In the rest of the world, not so much. I mean, in Huntington Beach in Florida, they're having churches on the beach and God knows what without masks. People are like dragging their little kids to MAGA rallies where no one's wearing a mask and their kid's not wearing a mask. It's like, you are putting your kid in harm's way. Why? For some political bullshit artist who's a scam artist, he's not going to ever give a crap about you and your family. If your kid gets sick, he's not going to pay for the hospital bill. Like, why put yourself and your kids at risk? I don't get it. Anyway, I don't want to get into the political thing because, hey, this is not a political show, as you know. It's a spiritual show, but I contemplate these things quite often. Like, I don't know, I'm just becoming more and more introverted and more of a hermit as this pandemic has gone on. Anyway, the current wind or solar wind conditions are 680 kilometers per second. Oh my God. It was like double what it was last week. Solar wind speed, 680 kilometers per second. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. So right now, what's going on is the solar wind has sparked geomagnetic unrest on the planet. Earth is right now currently inside a fast-moving, which is more than 600 kilometers per second, stream of solar wind. That's what's going on right this very minute during this huge full moon. Okay? And it's causing geomagnetic unrest around the poles. The gaseous material flowing from a northern hole in the sun's atmosphere, they said, and high-latitude sky watchers should be on alert for aurora borealises, basically today and tomorrow. So it might be fun if you're an aurora seeker. And that's it. We're definitely in solar cycle 25. It's been strengthened. It's absolutely no doubt that that's what's going on. We have sunspot number 22 right now is on the Earth side facing part of the sun. Earth facing side of the sun is what I was trying to say. Sorry. So there are pictures of this if you want to go to spaceweather.com and check this out. As far as the Ulu neutron counts, coming out of the university in Oulu, Finland, 9.6% of the space age average is where we're at today, which is high, and that is a 0.2% lower number than in the past 48 hours. So both of the magnetic polarities of the sunspots, by the way, do mark them as being part of solar cycle 25. We're still in the solar minimum, even though 2 sunspots are facing us. And when the sunspots are facing us, it's possible for a coronal massive ejection to come out of the sun. I don't think anything has, so far, but it's always possible. The noctilucent clouds are well underway. And we are, again, having a brush with the solar winds. The magnetic field is being affected right as I speak right now. And according to NASA's All-Sky cameras and the All-Sky Fireball Network, there has been 6 reported fireballs. 3 of them are sporadic, 2 are southern delta aquarids, 1 is a Perseid. So there's that. All right. As far as the disclosurenews.it is concerned, we did have a 12 hertz frequency on the Schumann Resonance scale. It's not much. 12 is very, very low. It's very odd that it's so low, honestly. According to heartmath.org, now we only have data, the most recent data is from Saturday at the 2300 hour of August 1st. And by the way, happy August, guys. So California at that time, at 2300 hour on Saturday, California was at 137 hertz frequency, while Hofuf, Saudi Arabia has come up off the map quickly. Hofuf, Saudi Arabia was at 112 hertz frequency, and Lithuania was at 158 hertz frequency. Alberta, Canada was at 246 hertz frequency. Northland, New Zealand was at 67 hertz frequency. And last but not least, Hululu, South Africa was at 131 hertz frequency. And that is, of course, on the Schumann Resonance scale. So, all right, here we go. Quickly checking the where we're at as far as how much time we got left. Oh, we got plenty of time. All right, we have been reading A Course in Miracles, all the lessons, and this is found at acim.org. This is the website for the Foundation for Inner Peace, and taking these lessons will bring you inner peace, and I hope that reading them to you every day the way I do helps to bring you closer to your own divine personal truth, and also brings you towards a way of personal peace. Basically, we are on lesson 347, and here is that lesson now. Anger must come from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I would use against myself to keep the miracle away from me. Anger must come from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I would use against myself to keep the miracle away from me. Father, I want what goes against my will, and do not want what is my will to have. Straighten my mind, my Father. It is sick. But you have offered freedom, and I choose to claim your gift today. And so I give all judgment to the one you gave to me to judge for me. He sees what I behold, and yet he knows the truth. He looks on pain, and yet he understands it is not real. And in his understanding, it is healed. He gives the miracles my dreams would hide from my awareness. Let him judge today. I do not know my will, but he is sure it is your own. And he will speak for me and call your miracles to come to me. Listen today. Be very still and hear the gentle voice, for God is assuring you that he has judged you as the son he loves. Anger must come from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I would use against myself to keep the miracle away from me. Again, that's lesson 347, and this is a course in miracles. I highly recommend you go download one of the apps and take these lessons for yourself and really delve into them deeper than my quick reading of them for the past 347 episodes. It would behoove you to get into it, delve into it, and really accept those miracles for yourself in your own life. Now, today is the full moon, and I wanted to read one more thing about that before we get into today's reading. So, the full moon is, I'm going to read to you this from Divine Feminine 222. She had a kind of an interesting take on it. I thought this was kind of cool, so I'm going to read this to you from Instagram. She says, full moon in Aquarius. The full moon at 11 degrees 45 feet, I guess. I don't know, 45, it looks like a foot mark. Aquarius is square Uranus, and it can bring unexpected changes or events, which might make you easily distracted, have impulsive reactions, or experience mood swings. The sun is in Leo, so this full moon might also affect people with Leo in their chart also. Moon is in Uranus, can make you quite rebellious or reckless, and there could be a desire to be more independent. It's not ideal to make any big changes or jump into any conclusions. The right way to deal with the current energies is to be flexible and open. We also have Mercury opposite Saturn about 5 hours after the full moon. It might cause delays in communication or communication issues. Negative thoughts are resurfacing, can't even say that word, and fear, so it could cause fear. It is important to be patient, understanding, and think before you do something. Pay attention to the details and think positively. And again, this is from Divine Feminine 222. She has no idea I'm reading her stuff on my show. Unless she listens to the show. I don't know. She might. But I wanted to bring that up in case you were wondering what's going on with full moon today. I myself am not an astrologer, but I have noticed some things about this full moon that are different than other full moons. 2 days in a row on Friday and also Saturday, I woke up about 4:44 in the morning, and I could not sleep. I was restless. I had weird freaking dreams. I went to my bathroom, splashed some water on my face both nights in a row. And both nights in a row, the moon was bright as the freaking sun on the horizon. The roosters were crowing. I did take a couple pictures that in the moon was so bright, my tablet wouldn't even acknowledge the roundness of the moon. It was just like bright. It looked like the sun, almost like rays coming out. I mean, the fact that I woke up 2 days in a row exactly at 4:44 a.m. and I couldn't sleep. I was restless. I was having all kinds of crazy dreams. I know there's something going on with this moon as far as the energy is off the charts. My son had a similar experience, except he was waking up he said around 2:30 in the morning. 2 nights in a row, the same freaking thing. And 2 nights in a row, he saw UFOs near the moon. And he saw these spaceships, like massive spaceships around the moon. And I wanted to bring it up in case you had that experience. And my friend Cheryl in Nova Scotia, in Canada, she said the same thing. Is she in Nova Scotia? Yeah, I think that's where she is. Sorry. Cheryl, if I just said that wrong. She's in Canada on the East Coast. But she said that she's been noticing them for about 2 or 3 months, these ETs up there. And remember on Friday when I was doing my introduction, I felt all kinds of weird, like I was high, and even though I wasn't. I was, but I wasn't. I didn't do anything to make myself high. I just, whatever meditation I did just threw me mentally. I was just like, whew, not totally coherent. Felt amazing though. And then the ET came into my room while my son was abducted. I was abducted Friday after I'd finished the show and published the show. I had been abducted. He had been abducted. I don't know what happened. My friend did say that they are positive. They're of the light. I think they might be part of the Galactic Federation. But there's been a lot of ET activity, a lot of UFO activity. Around the world, lots of UFO activity. And here now with in coinciding with the full moon. So I just wanted to bring that up, put that out there. And if you've had any similar experiences with this moon just waking you up in the middle of the night like that, let me know. Just let me know. And I'll tell people about it in my next episode. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, you guys. And when I come back, I'm going to continue our read from last week. We're going to be reading the Kybalion by Three Initiates right after these messages. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Happy August, guys. I wanted to extend to you my birthday special. I was born this month and I wanted to do something for you guys. Normally, my readings are $111 for a tarot reading or a psychic mediumship reading. That means I can basically help you talk to any of your deceased loved ones, your higher self, even God himself, or any of the ascended masters that you've always wanted to have a conversation with. What you need to do is just contact me at mermaidgirl888 on Instagram. Just direct message me and let me know you're interested in having the birthday special $88 reading. That is $33 less than my normal price. And as always, my cloud readings are also available at $33. So there you have it. Happy August. I look forward to hearing from you. All right, guys, we're going to just jump right on into it, pick up where we left off last week. This, to me, it is a riveting book. It was written in 1912 by three initiates. We don't know who they really are. The Kybalion has fascinated people for a very long time, obviously. It's like 108 years old. It's very much a possibility that it's Swami Panchadasi or William Walker Atkinson, but I don't feel like it is. Is it? No. Do I get to ask? No. See, God won't even tell me who the initiates are. And God's further telling me that it doesn't matter who they are, because that's not what it's about. It's not a trip of the ego. It's a trip of the metaphysical journey. So it doesn't really matter who wrote it. And we're going to get right into it. Where we left off last week was number 6, the principle of cause and effect. These are the Hermetic principles of basically the truths of Thoth or Hermes, Trismegistus. Very interesting stuff here. Okay. So number 6 is the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law, the Kybalion. This principle embodies the fact that there is a cause for every effect and effect from every cause. It explains that everything happens according to law, that nothing ever merely happens, that there is no such thing as chance, that while there are various planes of cause and effect, the higher dominating the lower planes, still nothing ever entirely escapes the law. The Hermetists understand the art and methods of rising above the ordinary plane of cause and effect, and to a certain degree, and by mentally rising to a higher plane, they become causers instead of effects. The masses of people are carried along obedient to environment, the wills and desires of others stronger than themselves, hereditary, suggestion, and other outward causes, moving them about like pawns on the chessboard of life. But the masters, rising to the plane above, dominate their moods, characters, qualities, and powers, as well as the environment surrounding them, and become movers instead of pawns. They help to play the game of life, instead of being played and moved about by other wills and environment. They use the principle instead of being its tools. The masters obey the causation of the higher planes, but they help to rule on their own plane. In this statement, there is condensed a wealth of Hermetic knowledge. Let him read who can. Okay, so you know what? Let me read that again. They use the principle instead of being its tools. The masters obey the causation of the higher planes, but they help to rule on their own plane. All right. Your guess is as good as mine at this point. I'm going to have to contemplate that one for a while. Oh, okay. I better get this out there. I'm getting a little bit tired. Ooh, that solar wind, boy. I don't know if you guys have been feeling it, but I've been a little bit out of it all day. But it's okay. We're going to push on here. Okay, number 7, the principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. the Kybalion. Well, that's cool. Gender manifests on all planes. All right. This principle embodies the truth that there is gender manifested in everything, the masculine and feminine principles ever at work. Okay. This is true not only of the physical plane, but of the mental and even the spiritual planes. On the physical plane, the principle manifests as sex. On the higher planes, it takes higher forms. But the principle is ever the same. No creation, physical, mental, or spiritual, is possible without this principle. And understanding of its laws will throw light on many a subject that has perplexed the minds of men. The principle of gender works ever in the direction of generation, regeneration, and creation. Everything and every person contains the two elements or principles, or this great principle within it, him or her. Every male thing has the female element also. Every female contains also the male principle. If you would understand the philosophy of mental and spiritual creation, generation, and regeneration, you must understand and study this Hermetic principle. It contains the solution of many mysteries of life. We caution you that this principle has no reference to the many base, pernicious, and degrading lustful theories, teachings, and practices which are taught under fanciful titles and which are a prostitution of the great natural principle of gender. Such base revivals of the ancient infamous forms of phallicism tend to ruin mind, body, and soul, and the Hermetic philosophy has ever sounded the warning note against these degraded teachings which tend towards lust, licentiousness, and perversion of nature's principles. If you seek such teachings, you must go elsewhere for them. Hermeticism contains nothing for you along these lines. To the pure, all things are pure. To the base, all things are base. All right, here we go now. Starting a brand new chapter. Chapter 3, Mental Transmutation. Mind, as well as metals and elements, may be transmuted from state to state, degree to degree, condition to condition, pole to pole, vibration to vibration. True Hermetic transmutation is a mental art, the Kybalion. Oh my God, I'm just like yawning like crazy. Here we go. As we have stated, the Hermeticists, I keep saying the wrong word, the Hermetists were the original alchemists, astrologers, and psychologists. Hermes having been the founder of these schools of thought. From astrology has grown modern astronomy. From alchemy has grown modern chemistry. From the mystic psychology has grown the modern psychology of the schools. But it must not be supposed that the ancients were ignorant of that which the modern schools suppose to be their exclusive and special property. The records engraved on the stones of ancient Egypt show conclusively that the ancients had a full, comprehensive knowledge of astronomy, the very building of the pyramids showing the connection between their design and the study of astronomical science. Nor were they ignorant of chemistry, for the fragments of the ancient writings show that they were acquainted with the chemical properties of things. In fact, the ancient theories regarding physics are being slowly verified by the latest discoveries of modern science, notably those relating to the constitution of matter. Nor must it be supposed that they were ignorant of the so-called modern discoveries in psychology. On the contrary, the Egyptians were especially skilled in the science of psychology, particularly in the branches that the modern schools ignore, but which nevertheless are being uncovered under the name of psychic science, which is perplexing the psychologists of today and making them reluctantly admit there may be something in it after all. The truth is that beneath the material chemistry, astronomy and psychology, that is, psychology in its phase of brain action, the ancients possessed a knowledge of transcendental astronomy, called astrology, of transcendental chemistry, called alchemy, of transcendental psychology, called mystic psychology. They possessed the inner knowledge as well as the outer knowledge, the latter alone being possessed by modern scientists. Among the many secret branches of knowledge possessed by the Hermetists was that known as mental transmutation, which forms the subject matter of this lesson. Transmutation is a term usually employed to designate the ancient art of the transmutation of metals, particularly of the base metals, into gold. The word transmute means to change from one nature, form, or substance into another, to transform, according to Webster. And accordingly, mental transmutation means the art of changing and transforming mental states, forms, and conditions into others. So you may see that mental transmutation is the art of mental chemistry. If you like the term, a form of practical mystic psychology. But this means far more than it appears on the surface. Transmutation, alchemy, or chemistry on the mental plane is important enough in its effects, to be sure. And if the art stopped, it would still be one of the most important branches of study known to man. But this is only the beginning. Let us see why. The first of the seven Hermetic principles is a principle of mentalism, the axiom of which is the all is mind, the universe is mental, which means that the underlying reality of the universe is mind, and the universe itself is mental, that is, existing in the mind of the all. We shall consider this principle in succeeding lessons, but let us see the effect of the principle if it be assumed to be true. If the universe is mental in its nature, then mental transmutation must be the art of changing the conditions of the universe along the lines of matter, force, and mind. So you see, therefore, that mental transmutation is really the magic of which the ancient writers had so much to say in their mystical works, and about which they gave so few practical instructions. If all be mental, then the art which enables one to transmute mental conditions must render the master the controller of material conditions, as well as those ordinarily called mental. As a matter of fact, none but advanced mental alchemists have been able to attain the degree of power necessary to control the grosser physical conditions, such as the control of the elements of nature, the production or cessation of tempests, the production and cessation of earthquakes, and other great physical phenomena. But that such men have existed and do exist today is a matter of earnest belief to all advanced occultists of all schools. That the masters exist and have these powers, the best teachers assure their students, having had experiences which justify them in such belief and statements. These masters do not make public exhibitions of their powers, but seek seclusion from the crowds of men, in order to better work their may along the path of attainment. We mention their existence at this point merely to call your attention to the fact that their power is entirely mental and operates along the lines of the higher mental transmutation under the Hermetic principle of mentalism. The universe is mental, the Kybalion. But students and Hermetists of lesser degree than masters, the initiates and teachers, are able to freely work along the mental plane in mental transmutation. In fact, all that we call psychic phenomena, mental influence, mental science, new thought phenomena, etc., operates along the same general lines, for there is but one principle involved, no matter by what name the phenomena be called. The student and practitioner of mental transmutation works among the mental plane, transmuting mental conditions, states, etc., into others, according to various formulas, more or less efficacious. The various treatments, affirmations, denials, etc., of the schools of mental science are but formulas, often quite imperfect and unscientific, of the Hermetic art. The majority of modern practitioners are quite ignorant compared to the ancient masters, for they lack the fundamental knowledge upon which the work is based. Not only may the mental states, etc., of one's self be changed or transmuted by Hermetic methods, but also the states of others may be and are constantly transmuted in the same way, usually unconsciously, but often consciously, by some understanding the laws and principles, in cases where the people affected are not informed of the principles of self-protection. And more than this, as many students and practitioners of modern mental science know, every material condition depending upon the minds of other people may be changed or transmuted in accordance with the earnest desire, will, and treatments of person desiring changed conditions of life. The public are so generally informed regarding these things at present that we do not deem it necessary to mention the same at length, our purpose at this point merely being to show the Hermetic principle and art underlying all of these various forms of practice, good and evil, for the force can be used in opposite directions according to the Hermetic principles of polarity. In this little book, we shall state the basic principles of mental transmutation, that all who read may grasp the underlying principles, and thus possess the master key that will unlock the many doors of the principle of polarity. We shall proceed to his consideration of the first of the Hermetic 7 principles, the principle of mentalism, in which is explained the truth that the all is mind, the universe is mental. In the words of the Kybalion, we ask the close attention and careful study of this great principle on the part of our students, for it is really the basic principle of the whole Hermetic philosophy and of the Hermetic art of mental transmutation. Okay. Chapter 4, the All. Under and back of the universe of time, space, and change is ever to be found the substantial reality, the fundamental truth, the Kybalion. Substance means that which underlies all outward manifestations, the essence, the essential reality, the thing in itself, etc. Substantial means actually existing, being the essential element, being real, etc. Reality means the state of being real, true, enduring, valid, fixed, permanent, actual, etc. Under and behind all outward appearances or manifestations, there must always be a substantial reality. This is the law. Man, considering the universe of which he is a unit, sees nothing but change in matter, forces, and mental states. He sees that nothing really is, but that everything is becoming and changing. Nothing stands still. Everything is being born, growing, and dying. The very instant a thing reaches its height, it begins to decline. That's interesting, isn't it? The law of rhythm is in constant operation. There is no reality, enduring quality, fixity, or substantiality in anything. Nothing is permanent but change. He sees all things evolving from other things and resolving into other things. Constant action and reaction, inflow and outflow, building up and tearing down, creation and destruction, birth, growth, and death. Nothing endures but change. And if he be a thinking man, he realizes that all of these changing things must be must be but outward appearances or manifestations of some underlying power, some substantial reality. All thinkers in all lands and in all times have assumed the necessity for postulating the existence of the substantial reality. All philosophies worthy of the name have been based upon this thought. Men have given to this substantial reality many names. Some have called it by the terms of deity under many titles. Others have called it the infinite and eternal energy. Others have tried to call it matter, but all have acknowledged its existence. It is self-evident. It needs no argument. In these lessons, we have followed the example of some of the world's greatest thinkers, both ancient and modern, the Hermetic masters, and have called this underlying power, this substantial reality, by the Hermetic name, the All, which term we consider the most comprehensive of the many terms applied by man to that which transcends names and terms. We accept and teach the view of the great Hermetic thinkers of all times, as well as those of illumined souls who have reached higher planes of being, both of whom assert that the inner nature of the All is unknowable. This must be so, for not by the All itself can comprehend its own nature and being. The Hermetists believe and teach that the All in itself is and must ever be unknowable. They regard all the theories, guesses, and speculations of the theologians and metaphysicians regarding the inner nature of the All as but the childish efforts of mortal minds to grasp the secret of the infinite. Such efforts have always failed and will always fail from the very nature of the task. One pursuing such inquiries travels around and around in the labyrinth of thought until he is lost to all sane reasoning, action, or conduct, and is utterly unfitted for the work of life. He is like the squirrel, which frantically runs around and around the circling treadmill wheel of his cage, traveling ever and yet reaching nowhere. At the end, a prisoner still, and standing just where he started. Oh my gosh, that's appropriate. I think that's an appropriate assessment. All right, hold on. I'm going to take a drink of my tea. Okay. Oh, excuse me. All right. And still more presumptuous are those who attempt to ascribe the All to the all the personality, qualities, properties, characteristics, and attributes of themselves, ascribing to the all the human emotion, feelings, and characteristics, even down to the pettiest qualities of mankind, such as jealousy, susceptibility to flattery and praise, desire for offerings and worship, and desire for offerings and worship, and all the other survivals from the days of the childhood of the race. Such ideas are not worthy of grown men and women, and are rapidly being discarded. And yet there are people who do all these things still. At this point, it may be proper for me to state that we make a distinction between religion and theology, between philosophy and metaphysics. Religion, to us, means the intuitional realization of the existence of the all and one's relationship to it, while theology means the attempts of men to ascribe personality, qualities, and characteristics to it, their theories regarding its affairs, will, desires, plans, and designs, and their assumptions of the office of middlemen between the all and the people. Right. Philosophy to us means the inquiry after knowledge of things knowable and thinkable, while metaphysics means the attempt to carry the inquiry over and beyond the boundaries and into regions unknowable and unthinkable, and with the same tendency as that of theology. And consequently, both religion and philosophy mean to us things having roots in reality, while theology and metaphysics seem like broken reeds rooted in the quicksands of ignorance, and affording naught but the most insecure support for the mind or soul of man. We do not insist upon our students accepting these definitions. We mention them merely to show our position. At any rate, you shall hear very little about theology and metaphysics in these lessons. Really, I thought these whole lessons were straight up metaphysics. So, but according to their own definition, it's not what it is. That's very odd, isn't it? All right. But while the essential nature of the all is unknowable, there are certain truths connected with its existence which the human mind finds itself compelled to accept. And an examination of these reports form a proper subject of inquiry, particularly as they agree with the reports of the illumined on higher planes. And to this inquiry we now invite you. That which is the fundamental truth, the substantial reality, is beyond true naming, but the wise men call it the all, the Kybalion. In its essence, the all is unknowable, the Kybalion. But the report of reason must be hospitably received and treated with respect, the Kybalion. The human reason, whose reports we must accept so long as we think at all, informs us as follows regarding the all, and that without attempting to remove the veil of the unknowable. Number 1, the all must be all that really is. There can be nothing existing outside of the all, else the all would not be the all. Obviously, right? Okay. 2, the all must be infinite, for there is nothing else to define, confine, bound, limit, or restrict the all. It must be infinite in time or eternal. It must have always continuously existed, for there is nothing else to have ever created it. And something can never evolve from nothing. And if it had ever not been, even for a moment, it would not be now. It must continuously exist forever, for there is nothing to destroy it, and it can never not be, even for a moment, because something can never become nothing. It must be infinite in space. It must be everywhere, for there is no place outside of the all. It cannot be otherwise than continuous in space, without break, cessation, separation, or interruption, for there is nothing to break, separate, or interrupt its continuity, and nothing with which to fill in the gaps. It must be infinite in power or absolute, for there is nothing to limit, restrict, restrain, confine, disturb, or condition it. And it is subject to no other power, for there is no other power. Number 3, the all must be immutable, or not subject to change in its real nature, for there is nothing to work changes upon it, nothing into which it could change, nor from which it could have changed. It cannot be added to nor subtracted from, increased nor diminished, nor become greater or lesser in any respect whatsoever. It must have always been, must always remain, just what it is now, the all. There has never been, is not now, and never will be anything else into which it can change. The all being infinite, absolute, eternal, and unchangeable. It must follow that anything finite, changeable, fleeting, and conditioned cannot be the all. And as there is nothing outside of the all in reality, then any and all such finite things must be as nothing in reality. Now, do not become befogged nor frightened. We're not trying to lead you into the Christian Science field under cover of Hermetic philosophy. There is a reconciliation of this apparently contradictory state of affairs. Be patient, we will reach it in time. We see all around us that which is called matter, which forms the physical foundation for all forms. Is the all merely matter? Not at all. Matter cannot manifest life or mind, and as life and mind are manifested in the universe, the all cannot be matter, for nothing rises higher than its own source. Nothing is ever manifested in an effect that is not in the cause. Nothing is evolved as a consequence that is not involved as an antecedent. And then modern science informs us that there is really no such thing as matter, that what we call matter is merely interrupted energy or force. That is, energy or force at a low rate of vibration. As a recent writer has said, matter has melted into mystery. Even material science has abandoned the theory of matter and now rests on the basis of energy. All right. Then is the all mere energy or force? Not energy or force as the materialists use the terms. For their energy and force are blind mechanical things devoid of life or mind. Life and mind can never evolve from blind energy or force, for the reason given a moment ago. Nothing can rise higher than its source. Nothing is evolved unless it is involved. Nothing manifests in the effect unless it is in the cause. And so the all cannot be mere energy or force, for if it were, then there would be no such things as life and mind in existence. And we know better than that, for we are alive and using mind to consider this very question. and so are those who claim that energy or force is everything. What is there then higher than matter or energy, and we know to be existent in the universe? Life and mind. Life and mind in all their varying degrees of unfoldment. Then you ask, do you mean to tell us that the all is life and mind? Yes and no is our answer. If you mean life and mind as we poor petty mortals know them, we say no, the all is not that. But what kind of life and mind do you mean, you ask? The answer is living mind. As far above that which mortals know by those words as life and mind are higher than mechanical forces or matter, infinite living mind, as compared to finite life and mind. We mean that which the illumined souls mean when they reverently pronounce the word spirit. The all is infinite living mind. The illumined call it spirit. All right, we're going to see where we're at here. Oh yeah, we got plenty of time. All right. Chapter 5. The mental universe. All right, here we go. The universe is mental, held in the mind of the all, the Kybalion. The all is spirit, but what is spirit? This question cannot be answered for the reason that its definition is practically that of the all, which cannot be explained or defined. Spirit is simply a name that men give to the highest conception of infinite living mind, as much superior to life and mind as we know them, as the latter are superior to mechanical energy and matter. Spirit transcends our understanding, and we use the term merely that we may think or speak of the all for the purposes of thought and understanding. We are justified in thinking of spirit as infinite living mind, at the same time acknowledging that we cannot fully understand it. We must either do this or stop thinking of the matter at all. Right? Let us now proceed to a consideration of the nature of the universe as a whole and in its parts. What is the universe? We have seen that there can be nothing outside of the all. Then is the universe the all? No, this cannot be, because the universe seems to be made up of many and is constantly changing. And in other ways, it does not measure up to the ideas that we are compelled to accept regarding the all, as stated in our last lesson. Then if the universe be not the all, then it must be nothing. Such is the inevitable conclusion of the mind at first thought. But this will not satisfy the question, for we are sensible of the existence of the universe. Then if the universe is neither the all nor the nothing, what can it be? Well, let us examine this question. If the universe exists at all, or seems to exist, it must proceed in some way from the all. It must be a creation of the all. But as something can never come from nothing, from what could the all have created it? Some philosophers have answered this question by saying that the all created the universe from itself. That is, from the being and substance of the all. But this will not do, for the all cannot be subtracted from nor divided, as we have seen. And then again, if this be so, would not each particle in the universe be aware of its being the all? The all could not lose its knowledge of itself, nor actually become an atom or blind force, or lowly living thing. Some men indeed realizing that the all is the all, and also recognizing that they, the men, existed, have jumped to the conclusion that they and the all were identical, and they have filled the air with shouts of "I am God," to the amusement of the multitude and the sorrow of sages. The claim of the corpuscle that I am man would be modest in comparison. But what indeed is the universe if it be not the all? Not yet created by the all, having separated itself into fragments? What else could it be? What else can it be? Of what else can it be made? This is the great question. Let us examine it carefully. We find here that the principle of correspondence, see lesson 1, comes to our aid here. The old Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, may be pressed into service at this point. Let us endeavor to get a glimpse of the workings on higher planes by examining those of our own. The principle of correspondence must apply to this as well as to other problems. Let us see. On his own plane of being, how does man create? Well, first he may create by making something out of outside materials. But this will not do, for there are no materials outside of the all with which it may create. Well then, secondly, man procreates or reproduces his kind by the process of begetting, which is self-multiplication accomplished by transferring a portion of his substance to his offspring. But this will not do, because the all cannot transfer or subtract a portion of itself, nor can it reproduce or multiply itself. In the first place, there would be a taking away, and in the second case, a multiplication or addition to the all, both thoughts being an absurdity. Is there no third way to which man creates? Yes, there is. He creates mentally. And in so doing, he uses no outside materials. He does not reproduce himself, and yet his spirit pervades the mental creation. Following the principle of correspondence, we are justified in considering that the all creates the universe mentally, in a manner akin to the process whereby man creates mental images. And here is where the report of reason tallies precisely with the report of the illumined, as shown by their teachings and writings. Such are the teachings of the wise men. Such was the teaching of Hermes. All right, making sure where I'm at here. Okay. The all can create in no other way except mentally, without either using material, and there is none to use, or else reproducing itself, which is also impossible. There is no escape from this conclusion of the reason, which, as we have said, agrees with the highest teachings of the illumined. Just as you, student, may create a universe of your own in your mentality, so does the all create universes in its own mentality, but your universe is the mental creation of a finite mind, whereas that of the all is a creation of an infinite mind. The two are similar in kind, but infinitely different in degree. We shall examine more closely into the process of creation and manifestation as we proceed, but this is the point to fix in your minds at this stage. The universe and all it contains is a mental creation of the all. Verily indeed, all is mind. The all creates in its infinite mind countless universes, which exist for eons of time. And yet to the all, the creation, development, and decline and death of a million universes is as the time of the twinkling of an eye. The Kybalion. The infinite mind of the all is the womb of universes. The Kybalion. The principle of gender, see lesson 1 and other lessons to follow, is manifested on all planes of life, material, mental, or spiritual. But as we have said before, gender does not mean sex. Sex is merely a material manifestation of gender. Gender means relating to generation or creation. And whenever anything is generated or created on any plane, the principle of gender must be manifested. And this is true even in the creation of universes. Now, do not jump to the conclusion that we are all teaching that there's a male and female God or creator. That idea is merely a distortion of the ancient teachings on the subject. The true teaching is that the all in itself is above gender, as it is above every other law, including those of time and space. It is the law from which the laws proceed and is not subject to them. But when the all manifests on the plane of generation or creation, then it acts according to law and principle, for it is moving on a lower plane of being, and consequently manifests the principle of gender in its masculine and feminine aspects, on the mental plane, of course. This idea may seem startling to some of you who hear it for the first time, but you have all really passively accepted it in your everyday conceptions. You speak of the fatherhood of God, the motherhood of nature of God, the divine Father, the nature of the universal mother, and have thus instinctively acknowledged the principle of gender in the universe. Is this not so? But the Hermetic teaching does not imply a real duality. The all is one. The two aspects are merely aspects of manifestation. The teaching is that the masculine principle manifested by the all stands in a way apart from the actual mental creation of the universe. It projects its will towards the feminine principle, which may be called nature, whereupon the latter begins the actual work of the evolution of the universe, from simple centers of activity on to man, and then on and on still higher, all according to well-established and firmly enforced laws of nature. If you prefer the old figures of thought, you may think of the masculine principle as God, the Father, and of the feminine principle as nature, the universal mother, from whose womb all things have been born. This is more than a mere poetic figure of speech. It is an idea of the actual process of the creation of the universe. But always remember that the all is but one, and that in its infinite mind the universe is generated, created, and exists. I'm going to check our time here. All right. Hopefully this is wrapping up soon. So, okay. All right. It may help you to get the proper idea if you will apply the law of correspondence to yourself and your own mind. You know that the part of you which you call I, in a sense, stands apart and witnesses the creation of mental images in your own mind. The part of your mind in which the mental generation is accomplished may be called the me in distinction from the I, which stands apart and witnesses and examines the thoughts, ideas, and images of the me. As above, so below, remember, and the phenomena of one plane may be employed to solve the riddles of higher or lower planes. Okay. Is it any wonder that you, the child, feel that instinctive reverence for the all, which feeling we call religion, that respect and reverence for the Father mind? Is it any wonder that when you consider the works and wonders of nature, you are overcome with a mighty feeling which has its roots away down in your inmost feeling? It is the mother mind that you are pressing up close to, like a babe to the breast. Okay, hold on. Do not make the mistake of supposing that the little world you see around you, the earth, which is a merely grain of dust in the universe, is the universe itself. There are millions upon millions of such worlds, and greater. There are millions upon millions of such universes in existence with the infinite mind of the all. And even in our own little solar system, there are regions and planes of life far higher than ours, and beings compared to which we earthbound mortals are as the slimy life forms that dwell on the ocean's bed when compared to man. There are beings of powers and attributes higher than man has ever dreamed of the gods possessing. And yet these beings were once as you and still lower, and you will be given as they, and still higher in time, for such is the destiny of man, as reported by the illumined. And death is not real, even in the relative sense. It is but birth to a new life. And you shall go on and on and on to higher and still higher planes of life. For eons upon eons of time, the universe is your home, and you shall explore its farthest recesses before the end of time. You are dwelling in the infinite mind of the all, and your possibilities and opportunities are infinite, both in time and space. And at the end of the grand cycle of aeons, when the all shall draw back into itself all of its creations, you will glow, maybe. You will go gladly, for you will then be able to know the whole truth of being at one with the all. Such is the report of the illumined, those who have advanced well along the path. And in the meantime, rest calm and serene. You are safe and protected by the infinite power of the Father-Mother mind. Within the Father-Mother mind, mortal children are at home. The Kybalion. Within the Father-Mother mind, mortal children are at home. The Kybalion. There we go. There's not one who is fatherless nor motherless in the universe. The Kybalion. All right, well, we're going to come back next week to start on chapter 6, the Divine Paradox. This stuff is deep, man. I hope you're enjoying it. I've been enjoying reading it to you guys. I think it's interesting. I think it's fun. It's exciting. They're stating things that I think are real, true spiritual principles. I don't know if I agree with their definition of metaphysics and theology and all that. And God does present himself in a way to me that he has a personality, but that's because that is from my own filter. He has a sense of humor because I have a sense of humor, and he relates to me in this one way, but that's not the all, not even close. Your version of God might be serious or might be silent and shows you things in pictures. Depending on who you are and how you relate to the all is how the all will present itself to you. At least that's my experience. On the days that I'm very serious, God will present himself in a serious way. But is the God part of the all? No, it's not. It's very strange, right? The all is the all, and the all understands itself in a way that there's no way that I could understand it, because I'm not the all. We could just go on and on all night, I guess, about this. So I think I'm going to stop here. We will come back next week and pick up where we left off. So let's see. Yeah, next week we will start with chapter 6, the Divine Paradox. But there you have it. Ooh, I just looked. It was 55 minutes and 55 seconds into the second half. So, hey, that's pretty cool. 555. Earlier I saw 111. Earlier this morning I saw 1111. So if those are numbers that mean anything to you, and you feel like looking them up in your Angel Numbers app, there you go. There's new. If those are numbers being showing up in your life, and now I mention them, then that's a connection. Anyway, I wanted to thank you guys for voting for me last month. This is a brand new month, and the voting was closed for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. I won't know for another month or two if I even placed at all, but I wanted to thank you for that. I also want to thank you for your listenership, and for those of you who are listener supporters, I wanted to thank you for that. I really, really, really appreciate that. Thank you for your continued confidence and support of the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for liking, subscribing, forwarding to other people, and talking about the show. It's been really helpful. A lot of you, Anahata Cat, you know who you are, have actually forwarded my information to their people in Instagram. You could do this with your YouTube channel, with anyone from anywhere, your tweets on Twitter, your Facebook. Any and every little bit helps. Just letting people know, get the word out about the show, and people can make up their minds for themselves if they want to listen or not. But I wanted to thank those of you who have put my stuff out there and helped me. I really appreciate that. So anyway, having said that, I love each and every one of you, as I do love everyone on the planet, regardless of ideologies or politics or even idiocy. I love every single one of you, because at the heart of hearts, in your soul, you are perfect. And there you go. And plus, you can't even open your 11th chakra unless you love everyone on the planet. If you haven't done that yet, well, now it's time to start. So, there you have it. I'll be back tomorrow, you guys, with all unique and original programming, just like always. But for now, I am going to sign off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the Holy Fifth Dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.